Here's a fly ball out towards center field. This one's going back, and this one is gone! Taylor gets this one out towards center field to the short porch, and it's a grand slam! That's a floater, out to short. And it's booted off the shortstop's glove! Just like they drew it from Hollywood. Caladros, the 3-2. Swing and a miss! And the Audubon Green Wave have upset the Kingsway Dragons! Gone! Grant Fournier! Two-run shot to right! It's a rare Dan Wilkins Broadcasting trip to Middlesex County in central Jersey for a matchup between two teams searching for their first win this year. We'll take a quick break as the national anthem is starting. It's a rare Dan Wilkins Broadcasting trip to Middlesex County between two teams that are searching for their first win here in crossover play, in a crossover between the Shore Conference and the Big Central Conference. Two teams that we've covered before, but not in a while for the sport of football. It's the Manchester Township Hawks and the J.P. Stevens Hawks right here on Wednesday night, Dan Wilkins Broadcasting action. I'm Dan Wilkins. I'm joined by Matt Goldman, a Manchester Township grad himself. This will be an interesting game between two programs that are both looking to dispel their bad luck from the 2025 season and end their campaign on a high note.
Yeah, if you take a look at Manchester and J.P. Stevens, not the seasons that both the Hawks at least expected, but nonetheless, it's going to be a good game between these two teams. You have quarterbacks on both sides ready to fight, and there's players all over the board on both rosters that can make an impact tonight.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things about Manchester Township to note is that they have 8 of their 11 opening day starters either injured for the season or game time decisions, including quarterback Trevor Fryer, a sophomore who took over for Aiden Lund last year. He has a shoulder injury on his throwing arm. There's at least 3 linemen that are game time decisions, and tonight it's going to be about a little bit of closure for these teams. Both teams are 0-9. Manchester Township last year won a playoff game. They beat West Deptford in thrilling highlight fashion. They won on a game-winning field goal to win this one 30-29, and now they travel all the way up to Edison here in Middlesex County, and we travel all the way up to Edison an hour and a half from home to try to figure out how to get this Wednesday night kicked off the right way. Coaches, or rather captains and referees are meeting at the 50, but your thoughts on J.P. Stevens and their game plan going into this Wednesday night?
Yeah, J.P. Stevens, there's one player I'm looking at today, and that's wide receiver Zamar Rayford. 593
Absolutely.
receiving yards, 37 catches this year. Out of the 7 passing touchdowns that J.P. Stevens thrown, he's caught 6 of them. So that's a player on the both side, or at least on the offensive side. Defensively, he, I believe, starts in the defensive back room as well. That the corners and the safeties for Manchester Township have to look for. And there's always Curtis Mayer for Manchester Township. Dominant player. We may be seeing him at an FCS Division I or a Division II school next year. You know, that progress, he's been playing meaningful time since he's a freshman. He's been phenomenal for Manchester throughout the last couple of years.
Yeah, well, the thing is about J.P. Stevens, you have to remember they're probably a defensive-minded team considering David Kunis with 4 years as an assistant at Monmouth in the defensive line category. So you have to consider the fact that J.P. Stevens might be thinking about that more. They might be considering, how to tackle this Manchester Township team, which definitely has had a splintered offense in terms of their injuries. But Manchester last year won 8 games, and they had a great season on the way. But this year, they're hoping to write off the 2025 season and come back strong in 2026. We're actually going to get ready for kickoff, so we're going to take a quick break. We'll flip this camera back around, and we've got 48 minutes of crossover football here on some pre-Halloween Wednesday night action between the Manchester Township Hawks and the J.P. Stevens Hawks. I'm Dan Wilkins with Matt Goldman. Vincent Vogt is our producer for the evening. We'll be right back. "48 minutes of crossover football here on this Wednesday evening between the Manchester Township Hawks and the J.P. Stevens Hawks. We're going to get ready to go. Manchester will kick this one off to start. It'll be looks like number 45, the junior place kicker, Cole Wilson, to kick. And J.P. Stevens in the green and light gold/yellow with 2 receivers back to receive. It's a chilly Wednesday evening here, an hour and a half away from home. It's a short kick out to the left side. It will bounce, and it'll be returned by JPS. This is going to be out on the far sideline. A late flag comes in at the end of the return. The ball popped out, and now they're figuring out everything here at the end of the play. We do have a penalty flag, though, celebrating on theirs, and we've now got to figure out Manchester Township now erupting in celebration. They might have just returned or recovered that kickoff. But we also have to see what this penalty flag is.
Looks like it's going to be favor of Manchester Township here.
It's a hold against the return team. It's a hold against the return team. However, the penalty is declined because Manchester Township recovered the ball. And now we get to talk about their senior running back, Malik Farms. Now, usually we would talk about the quarterback in our player profile for the evening. However, tonight is not such a case. Malik Farms, one of the few players for Manchester that has not been sidelined with an injury this year. The senior running 468 rushing yards. He's got 2 rushing touchdowns this year, and his best game most certainly came in a 33-22 loss to Toms River South back in week 4 of the season. So Manchester with possession from the opposing 40 as rolling out a fiery pass is incomplete. And we get a little bit of closure on the quarterback there. That is Aiden Phillips Frazee, who is making his start. We saw a couple of different players maybe as a potential quarterback. Taheem Jackson attempted a pass last week versus Brick Township.
That's an interesting throw there by Phillips Frazee. Trying to throw the ball to Ryan Hetzel there, the tailback. Unfortunately, just a little too much power on that one, but we'll see what gets going with Phillips Frazee and crew.
Again,
point conversions this year. We'll see what goes on with the offense throughout the rest of the game, but it's going to be Farms contributing and being the workhorse back in this offense.
Yeah, again, big thing for Manchester tonight. If you're just joining us, it's going to be making up for lost time. I mean, Trevor Fryer, even though he's out for the season, probably will come back next year as a junior with a lot of space to develop. 2 years is such a formative time for high school quarterbacks, as that one's going to be a first down. That'll put them inside the 10, and that'll give Manchester Township an opportunity to score here in their first drive. With a pretty rush-heavy offense, only 1 pass attempt by Aiden Phillips Frazee. But one thing to take note of, Aiden Lunn, the 2024 grad, threw for 1,500 yards his first year, or rather his senior year. People underestimate when you're a junior in college, your development is not going to change much from a junior in college to a senior in college. A junior in high school to a senior in high school, everybody was a senior in high school. Those are the most formative years of your life.
The glory days.
It's the glory days. The people who, brag about the fact that they peaked in high school, those are the formative years of your life. And if you are a quarterback who is a starter as a sophomore and you have the same fluid head coach throughout your tenure, that's going to be a great breeding ground for him to develop into something great. Handoff from the 9-yard line. Farms breaking through. Touchdown, Manchester. The first of the day, and it comes just 2 minutes and 58 seconds into the contest as Manchester drives through with a quick drive that started out, that was sparked from a kickoff fumble recovery from J.P. Stevens. They were unable to hang on to the ball, and now they put up 6 here in the first quarter.
Just looked really easy for Farms there. Goes inside the tackles for an easy score. His 3rd rushing touchdown of the season, and it's been straight Farms. This is a multi-power spread offense that likes to throw around the football. We saw it last year with Aiden Lund. Trevor Fryer only has about less than 800 passing yards on the year, but a new form offense with a new quarterback and Farms being the center of it.
Philip Frazee in the shotgun. Manchester will attempt a 2-point conversion to try to go up 8 here. 9:02 left in the first. He fires it left side, and that one just was a little bit off target. The intended receiver was number 44, that being Ryan Hetzel, the sophomore. So they come up with 6, but a plan by Tommy Farrell to go for an extra 2 points is no good. Vince, did we take a look at the replay there? Let's take a look at it here. This is a nice play here just because it's so representative of how that first drive worked. I mean, they got the fumble recovery, only had to go 40 yards to get into the end zone, but Malik Farms just capping it off with a very clean, very simple, very fundamental 9-yard rush, breaking through the JPS defense. Didn't really give them much of a shot. And Manchester completes a three-minute drive to open up the game with 6 points.
It's just, the power or smash mouth football for that matter. Just keep on running the football. If it's the winning formula, it's the winning strategy, they have to keep on utilizing as much as possible. Already using it in the opening possession. Now they're kicking off. It's going to be interesting to see what J.P. Stevens does.
See if they can hang on to the ball this time. Cole Wilson, the junior place kicker, 6'1", 175. Obviously was not needed on that last possession as Manchester went for a 2-point conversion and was unsuccessful. Another short kick, pretty much in the same area. It'll be picked up at the 20-yard line. Returned by JPS's number 1, that being Dwight McIntosh. He returns it and hangs on to the ball at the 35. And now J.P. Stevens will take over with their starting quarterback, Mac Kawaja. Kawaja definitely had a game to forget 2 weeks ago versus Roselle Park. He only threw he did pretty good last week versus Roselle, 5 for 8, 82 passing yards and 1 TD. But 2 weeks ago versus Roselle Park, in a 49-6 loss, he threw 6 interceptions, 11 for 35, 164 passing yards, 1 TD and 6 interceptions. So the big thing for Mac, keep the ball in your receiver's hands. I know there's not much he can do about it, but a big positive point for JPS is that they have a nice highfalutin passing offense, a high-pressure passing offense, somebody who's going to be able to get the ball in the air. And if you can get good receptions out of it, might be a good counter to this Manchester Township rush-heavy offense.
Little of a jet pass there. As I mentioned, Zamar Rayford, the sophomore. It was a little tap pass, gives it to Rayford, but this Manchester defense looking stout early on. They do run a 4-3, 4-down lineman, 3 traditional linebackers, and Michael Will and the Sam. So already stopping Rayford, who was going to be their biggest battle all day, is really positive.
Kawaja drops back, fires a pass left side, incomplete. Intended for number 5 on the left side. Zamar Rayford, the aforementioned sophomore. And one thing to mention is that both teams have a handful of senior receivers and running backs who are on their way out. Although, for what it's worth, the 2 quarterbacks who have played, who have split time for J.P. Stevens this year, Shamar Birch, who has thrown 92 for 162, 847 passing yards, has not played in the last 2 weeks, not versus Roselle or Roselle Park. 3rd and 12 after the jet pass and an incompletion. Kawaja, right side, pressured by Askew, and he's going to go down for a sack. That'll be 4th down. It's going to be a loss of 3 yards on the play. It'll bring J.P. Stevens back to 4th and 15. And now it looks like they'll bring out the punt crew for the Hawks.
Good decision there from Kawaja not to force anything, not to throw an ill-advised ball. I know he's going to look a lot at Zamar Rayford, but Rayford looked to be covered very tightly there by a Manchester Township defender. So Kawaja taking the sack, not giving the ball up, not turning it over. I think that's a more positive outlook than anything.
Yeah, even if you have to punt still early in the game, and you'll still be able to figure things out in one way or another. Manchester will be back with Farms to receive. McIntosh will punt, Farmas to receive. So Malik Farms will return this punt for Manchester. This will bounce once. It'll bounce right to Farms, but he backs off of it to try to get some extra yards. And J.P. Stevens will pick this one up. They're trying to use the power of the nature and the wind, but they will bring that one up to the 26-yard line. We do have 3 South Jersey playoff games on the docket for this weekend. This is just the precursor to what we've got for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday football. We start off with South Jersey Group 5 from Kingsway on Thursday night. That'll be myself and Jake Clark on the call for that one between the Eastern Vikings and the Kingsway Dragons. Just so happened to be that all 3 games that we're covering are a matchup between a 6th seed and a 3 seed. Eastern Kingsway on Thursday, 6 o'clock kickoff. Then Friday we go. Remember, for our South Jersey viewers tonight, we're in Edison. Friday night, we're going to be in Pennsville on Salem County. So quite literally, we'll be going from exit 11 of the Turnpike to exit 1 of the Turnpike on Friday night to Lou D'Angelo Stadium for South Jersey Group 1, Shalleck and Pennsville. Farms up the middle, gets spun around. Now he's ahead of the line of scrimmage. Now he is free, but he's got some defenders behind him. It'll be a gain of 13 yards. And Farms gets an easy first down for Manchester.
Yards after contact are going to be the name of the game today for Manchester Township. And Link Farms really proven that early on. We honestly probably should have got a gain of 5 there, but he kept on, moving his legs. Gets an additional 7 to 8 yards, gives Manchester Township a first down. And now the Hawks really brewing offensively.
Yeah, definitely just trying to get the tone set here for Manchester Township. I think, again, Manchester Township has had a very unlucky season. I don't think that, again, they are 1 year removed with a lot of starters returning with the exception of the quarterback off of a playoff win last year. They beat West Effort 30-29, and they won their division outright. So there's a lot to like about Manchester. Here's Philip Frazee deep down the field, way too much mustard on that one, and it's incomplete. The intended receiver was number 6 for Manchester, Taheem Jackson.
With Phillips Frazee now under center today, stepping in for Fryer, the 2 leading receivers, Phillips Frazee and Taheem Jackson. I expect a lot of Phillips Frazee to throw that football to Taheem Jackson. First time he's been targeted all day, and we're going to see more of that throughout the game.
Yeah, Jackson was the only other player besides Fryer to attempt to pass. He did one week, was 0 for 1 in his efforts, but Trevor Fryer has not, he went 6 for 11 before he had to be removed. It was a 43-0 loss versus Brick Township to cap off an 0-9 regular season with an 0-4 record in the Shore B South Division. Handoff to Farms, gets wrapped around. He's going to get a gain of 7 after the incompletion. They'll be stopped right on the midfield stripe, and it'll be Manchester from the 50.
That's a lot of patience there from Malik Farms, waiting for his blockers to, block these inside linebackers for more and more yardage, and that's what you like to see. Manchester really clicking on all cylinders right now, not, playing flat at all. So if they can continue that pace all day, they'll probably go 2 for 2.
Biggest thing as well for Manchester is just staying consistent. I mean, obviously you're dealing with a quarterback that has not taken a varsity snap in the shotgun or under center during his career. As there's a low snap, speaking of, it's fumbled, and Manchester falls on it. They were just 3 yards away from a first down, and now Phillips Frazee on the fumble. It is recovered by Manchester, but now that brings them over 10 yards out of first down and should bring on the special teams punt crew.
Yeah, Dwight McIntosh first, J.P. Stevens Hawk to get there, touching Phillips Frazee when he was on the ground. It looked to be an intended pass there, but Phillips Frazee looked like he panicked a little bit, but you have to get better if you want to stay consistent for Manchester Township, not dropping the football, so you have to go out there with poise and confidence.
Absolutely. This will be back to return number 5, Zamar Rayford, the sophomore, kind of the do-it-all kid for JPS, as that punt is botched, and now he's getting wrapped up, and he will get thrown to the ground. A host of J.P. Stevens Hawks come in for that one as the punter Number 11, Dom Hunt, gets taken care of, and now the door opens for J.P. Stevens with 4.5 minutes left in the first quarter.
Back-to-back blunders there by Manchester Township, but it's all a learning experience. But J.P. Stevens really standing on business so far, getting stuff going now defensively. They looked a little flat, a little dormant start off the game, offensively and defensively. Now they have really good field position already into Manchester Township's territory. We'll see how J.P. Stevens formulates this drive.
They start in great field position. They are on the opposing 34. 4:27 to play in the first quarter here at John McGowan Stadium. As now that's a fumble. Let's see here. That's going to be a loss of 7 yards. They're back to the 40. That is now 3 straight plays to involve a fumble of some kind. And, I mean, when I saw Manchester take the field for their second drive and I saw Malik Farmas drive and getting a first down, the first pre-thought in my head came up with, is Manchester Township going to run away with this game? I think the answer is no, because of how these 2 drives have now culminated. J.P. Stevens losing, looks like if the line to gain is at the 24, they definitely lost 7 or 8 yards on that first play, where the snap ended up not going as intended.
I'm a little shocked that J.P. Stevens recovered that football.
It was definitely a close call. Mack, Kawaja pass left side. He's got some space. He cuts inside to stay in bounds, and he's going to get into the end zone. Touchdown, Hawks. How about that one? Joshua Collins into the end zone. 41 yards. What a recovery by JPS.
Fantastic route there out of the backfield from Joshua Collins. Only has 100 all-purpose yards this year. Gets 41 more on that catch out of the backfield. His second touchdown of the year. His first receiving touchdown, for that matter. That's what you'd love to see for J.P. Stevens. Now an extra point away from taking the lead.
Wow, what a 41-yard touchdown by Joshua Collins. I was shocked that he went to the right, cut inside, instead of taking himself out on the sideline, on the near sideline. That would have been the safe move. He decided to kind of advocate for himself, get a couple extra yards, and he now finds himself in the end zone.
That's a football move.
J.P. Stevens will try to go up by 2. They do not attempt a PAT. This is going to be a false start penalty on the Hawks. They were already going to go for 2. They did not have a 1-point PAT lined up, and instead they're going to, looks like they're going to keep a 2-point formation out there, keeping Matt Kawaja on the field.
Maybe it's the wind, maybe it's the colder temperatures.
I mean, it's right now 53 degrees here in Edison. Certainly feels a little bit colder than that. Wind is blowing inside the press box.
Big possibility why no PATs have been attempted on either side just yet.
This could be a game that could go down to 2-point conversions being made or missed. Kawaja, right side. It is incomplete. So both teams fail at their first PAT attempt. Joshua Collins wanted an 8-point play. He wanted it all. He got a 41-yard receiving touchdown with some acrobatics to stay in bounds, but is unable to convert on the 2-point conversion. We'll take a look at this replay here, and then we'll go to a quick break. 3:25 left in the first quarter. Just a fantastic play here. Joshua Collins is open, splits through the 2 defenders here, and then watch this right side blocker. That comes in, and then he's on the sideline at the 20. He parks it, cuts to the right. That's almost a basketball move there, and then he is free sailing to the end zone. And that's what makes a 41-yard touchdown for Joshua Collins. We'll actually stay here, with 3:25 left. But with both 2-point conversions being unsuccessful, the score stands at 6-6. Hawks versus Hawks. Manchester and JPS tied up.
And going back to that move there by Collins, he juked out Phil Strachey, who's playing both as a defensive back and a quarterback today. Something to take note of.
This one is popped up. This is JPS's first kick of the day. Now to the right side, rather out to the left side. This will be returned pretty good by Cameron Longsworth, and he's going to get quite a long run. He returns it to the 40-yard line. And Manchester Township has some business.
If there's not an athlete to look at for Manchester Township today, that's not Malik Farms or Taheem Jackson. Cameron Longsworth's going to be the one to look out for. 160 rushing yards on the year, also an interception, a forced fumble, and 16 tackles on the season. That's what you like to see, someone who's going to impact themselves in the return game.
That kick was attempted by number 75, a lineman in Jayesh Brombat. And Manchester will have possession. Again, this is where it was exactly the 41-yard line where they started their first drive of the day after recovering a kickoff fumble. And Malik Farms capped off the drive just 2 minutes and 58 seconds with a 9-yard scramble in the end zone. We start this drive with 3:11 left in the first. Phillips Frazee in the shotgun, one running back behind him. That is Farms diving forward, and he'll get just 2 or so yards. JPS wanted a flag there. Tackle was made by number 52, Elijah Holman.
And Farms, who was
second and mid-range,
much smaller, was kind of driving Holman there. That's impressive. Elijah Holman, bulkier offensive lineman, but Farms, I would say on the smaller side for a running back, driving his legs. That's what you like to see as a running back, a real workhorse back in this Manchester Township offense.
Manchester breaking from the huddle here. They got, looks like 3 yards on the last play. Line to gain is at the 31-yard line. Manchester and J.P. Stevens tied up at 6 apiece. Phillips Frazee takes the snap right at chest level. Throw left side. It's caught. He'll try to stay in, and it's Longsworth gets taken down at the first down pylon. He does stay in bounds, so the clock runs. Got about maybe 5 yards that time as the referees on the sideline, the chain gang, marks them 1 yard short.
It's the first completion today from Aiden Phillips Frazee. Start warming up that arm. Once you get a completion, that's where stuff starts to get going. So that's more of a positive than anything for Manchester Township. Now on 3rd and short, I'm looking at number 3, Malik Farms, as the guy who's going to get this football and drag it up for Manchester Township.
Manchester Township's Malik Farms is the epitome of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it's 3rd and short, Farms, despite his height, he can drive forward. He has a lot of strength, and he's going to be able to do that right now. He breaks through. A tackle is unsuccessful. Now the second attempt brings him down, as that's plenty good for a first down. Looks like the tackle was made by number 33, Manas Sarnu, the junior. And that's plenty good for a first down. They are on the doorstep of the red zone. They're lined up at the 23-yard line.
As you mentioned, if not broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
And Malik Farms just really carrying this offense on his back this far. He's contributing as a defensive back today. We saw him line up as the lead kick returner as well for Manchester Township. We're going to see a lot more Farms in this game. It's only the first quarter. He's touched the ball nearly 8 or 9 times this far.
Phillips Frazee in trouble, working through the line. He's going to get positive yardage. How about that for a great recovery with 40 seconds left? It looks like Manchester will now get one more snap before the end of the first quarter here, but they got 9 yards on the QB scramble by Phillips Frazee. I don't think that's how it was drawn up at all, but he was able to recover.
I don't believe so at all. I thought Phillips Frazee was going to get pummeled behind the line of scrimmage. But that's a heads-up play. That's a wide receiver-esque play. That's his natural position. And he really does a good job not, avoiding any pressure. The offensive line creates a small hole for him to run through, gets 9 yards. Now they're in a cusp for a first down.
2nd and short. Handoff, right side. Ball is, I don't know where everybody is. Malik Farms has the ball. Wow, that is interesting. I couldn't tell if the ball popped out because there was frenzies in every which way. We go to the end of the first quarter. 1 touchdown on each side. It's the Manchester Township Hawks 6 and the J.P. Stevens Hawks 6. 1 quarter down, 3 to go. Both teams tied up at 6. We've had a 41-yard receiving touchdown to Joshua Collins for J.P. Stevens. We've had a 9-yard rushing touchdown from Malik Farms. And now to start quarter number 2, Manchester is driving again. They're inside the red zone. They're at the 14-yard line here on this Wednesday night crossover between two teams that are 0-9, searching for their first win of the year. 1st and 10, Farms direct snap. Barreling through the middle. He's on his feet. He emerges from the offensive line pile, and he is down just shy of the goal line.
Looked to be a wildcat formation there from
like
Farms. That's some trickeration. We haven't seen Manchester Township do that too much this year, as they rely a lot on Fryer to pass that football. But with a new quarterback, as mentioned, Aiden Phillips-Frazier, they're going to rely a lot on that running game, and Farms nearly gets a touchdown.
They're now lined up 1st and goal from the 2-yard line. Farmus again out of the Wildcat. J.P. Stevens barreling down hard. Tackle was made by number 21. That would be Aaron Teneo. At least it appeared, as he was the first to emerge from the pile.
Looks like they backed it up slightly.
Yeah, I mean, J.P. Stevens was able to make a successful stop there, and I mean, this has already given me deja vu to what we did last year. We had another crossover game versus a big school and a small school. The Wednesday before Halloween, it was cold, it was windy. The crowd, I mean, there's not too many people here tonight. I'm not trying to be rude. I am incredibly appreciative of the fact that both Manchester Township and J.P. Stevens, especially J.P. Stevens, for having us come out here with us being an hour and a half away from home down in Camden County. But coming up here tonight, seeing a good football game between two teams that have not had the best of fortunes this year. And Farmus, 3 yards away, he is 0 yards away. Touchdown, Malik Farms. He's had 2 rushing touchdowns all season. He has now doubled that mark in just the first half of tonight's contest. Manchester now leads this one 12-6. And from what we can feel in the press box, I don't feel a lot of wind. I wouldn't be surprised if they bring Wilson out for a PAT attempt.
Looks like they're going to keep the offense on the field.
They are. Farrell is talking to Aiden Phillips-Frazier here, so don't be too shocked if a 2-point conversion. I mean, both teams might not attempt a single PAT tonight. It might be all 2-point conversions or bust. We'll have to see. But we still have 10:27 left in the first half. Again, we're up in Edison. For those unfamiliar, here in Middlesex County, just off of, not too far away from exit 11 of the Turnpike, as Frazee in trouble. He gets, ball comes out, and he will be taken down 20 yards behind the end zone, as leading the tackling that time was number 75, Brombat that time. So we've had 3 2-point conversions, and none of them have been successful. We take a quick break. 1.5 minutes gone in the second quarter. 12 for Manchester, 6 for J.P. Stevens. Coming back here, we were just discussing during the break the farthest we've been for a broadcast. Bridgewater Raritan's up there. Hopefully we get to connect with Max Newell again for the 2026 season, as that one is a rollout to the left side rather. That ball gets muffed a little bit, but now a return. Now he's got some space, heading through a couple of tacklers, and he's down at the 42. Looks like he got a little bit shaken up on the play.
Zamar Rayford is going to be the lead guy for J.P. Stevens today. And a good return there from him, and you just got to keep on having your foot on the gas. He scored in the last possession, a 41-yard swing pass out of the backfield to Joshua Collins. Now you want to get your lead premier offensive playmaker involved. That's a winning formula for the Hawks.
That was the 3-yard rushing touchdown by Malik Farms, his 4th rushing touchdown of the year, as the J.P. Stevens Hawks, again led by former Monmouth defensive line coach David Kuniz, Their defensive line has held up for what it's worth.
Yeah, good tackle for loss by Aaron Tinio.
They've had some great tackles for losses. They've forced a couple fumbles. They've done a great job at holding that up, even if they're not in front on the scoreboard right now. A little bit of a dump pass to the left side for Rayford. He'll get 8 yards. He'll get down at the 49 on the opposite side of the field. Second down and short for J.P. Stevens.
Zamar Rayford, the one who returned the football, and now getting the ball, a little dump pass, and a lot of yards after catch there, about 5 to 6. Rayford already going to be very elusive so far. You have to get him, not stiff. You have to loosen him up because when he gets loose, he's one of the biggest I would say he's the most feared player on both sides.
2nd and 2. Line to gain is at the 47. The offensive line standing right on top of the midfield stripe. Matt Kawarja in the shotgun. He now dumps this pass off. It's tipped, and it's incomplete. Just hit the ground in front of a slew of Manchester Hawks.
We almost saw one of the rare defensive lineman interceptions.
We call it the thick 6 informally. Dan Connolly almost did it for the Patriots. Although, Panay Sewell's an offensive lineman. I'm thinking of the wrong thing. The Eagles had one a couple of years ago, I think. The Eagles had a defensive lineman pick 6 a couple of years back. Of course, me talking about the Eagles does no good when I'm in Edison, which is pretty firmly Giants and Jets territory. But
some would say Cowboys, too.
Maybe.
America's team.
That's everywhere. 3rd and short, rolling out to the right side for Matt Kawarja. Takes himself out of bounds. That's a first down. The tackle, the last man to touch him was number 19, Trevor Otten. We have a penalty flag on the play. Couldn't tell when that came in. Didn't catch the penalty either.
And maybe bringing it back for J.P. Stevens as they're walking back into their own territory here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking of right now, J.P. Stevens definitely, they would have had a first down. Now they get called back, and with this being a spot foul, they're going to be well without the range here. It was 3rd and 4. Actually, it was 3rd and 2. Now it's going to be 3rd and 12 after the 10-yard penalty. Again, line of gain is still the 47, but J.P. Stevens with a lot more of an uphill climb.
1 step forward, 2 steps behind, it looks like. A big penalty there is really going to be a momentum killer for J.P. Stevens as 3rd and 2 now becomes 3rd and long.
Matt Kawarja, empty backfield, 5 wide receivers looking out. He's got a deep ball, and it's incomplete. I don't think his receiver saw it in double coverage. Leading the coverage was Longsworth and Phillips Frazee. The intended receiver was number 12, Koresh Salah, the sophomore. A lot of young freshmen and sophomores on this J.P. Stevens team, but a 3rd and 12 incompletion leads us to 4th down.
I want to say J.P. Stevens got a little lucky there. There was some late defensive adjustments for Manchester Township, but players bouncing around that secondary and throwing in double coverage. Probably not the best move for J.P. Stevens, but Salah had an angle there on Longsworth and Phillips Frazee. Just the quarterback couldn't hit his wide receiver in time.
J.P. Stevens back to punt. It'll again be Malik Farms back to return. It's a windy, chilly Wednesday evening here in Edison as that one will be dropped. It will land straight on the turf. It will now roll forward, and J.P. Stevens will trap it, looking to salvage any damage that time, and now Manchester will start on their own 46. Can't be too mad at that. I think that J.P. Stevens kind of realized the problem a little bit late. But also the turf is a lot more unpredictable just because of where the ball is going to bounce on a night like this where it's cold, it's windy. That ball that was punted by JPS wasn't exactly a perfect spiral. So where is it going to land? Is it going to have some backspin that goes in your favor like the previous punt? That was what they had. J.P. Stevens, the last time they brought out the punt crew, they had a punt that went in the opposite direction, as in it bounced and then it went for positive yards, net positive yards in their favor. This one, not as lucky, and JPS able to fall on it. Manchester with basically the best possible scenario there, not having to return the punt and yet having good field position at the 46.
Manchester in unfamiliar territory as they have a grass field down the Hawks' Nest.
They do, over in Manchester Township, one of our favorite places to visit in the Shore Conference, as that's a rush for 5 yards. Again, Tommy Farrell was the one who notified us about this game when both teams seemed apparent that they would miss the playoffs. They were 0-8 when this game was scheduled last week. They both lost their Week 8 matchups. J.P. Stevens losing 40-6 to Roselle. Manchester Township falling 43-0 to Brick Township. Although I will say, when it comes to teams that they've scored double-digit points against, both teams have 2 of their 9 losses in which the offense has scored double-digit points. For J.P. Stevens in Week 1, they lost to Boundbrook 43-28, as that's going to be close, 2nd and 4. Farms, this is going to be either right on the line or above. And it is, I think, short. No, first down. They are able to move the chains for Manchester. But again, I'll tell you this. You know, Manchester, we saw them earlier this year also in Week 1. We saw them versus Barnegat. They lost that game 20-2. The only offense that they had was a safety. But we saw bright sparks from Manchester. And I think, Matt, you and I both called that game, obviously with you being a Manchester grad. You know, we called that game back in September. I don't think any of us left that press box thinking that Manchester would be right here, right now, with an 0-9 record. Especially with, first of all, Farms gets about 8 yards. Whistles flew after the play. But my point is that both of these teams have games where they've scored. They have 2 games specifically where they scored double-digit points. Toms River South beat Manchester 33-22 on September 26th. And then in the second to last week of the regular season, they fell to Pinelands 32-12. For J.P. Stevens, they lost to Boundbrook 43-28 on September the 5th. And then 41-12 to Manville, which is the 4 seed in the South Jersey Group 1 playoffs, 41-12. So, again, the biggest responsibility of a high school sports broadcaster, one of the biggest responsibilities, is to find the bright spots on teams where, on paper, you know, their records may look bleak. They might not look to a high standard. That pass is incomplete. Had an open slot and was unable to come up with it. Intended for Taheem Jackson, and it'll be 3rd and short. I don't know if I love the idea of passing the ball there on 2nd and short.
I didn't like that at all. You have a well-oiled machine in Malik Farms in the backfield. Why wouldn't he, on 2nd and short, just run that football?
I mean, again, every coach has their own philosophy. Tommy Farrell obviously has been a winning head coach. Again, it was just this time last year that Manchester Township had heroics of their own, a game-winning 29-yard field goal by Manchester to win a home playoff game on their home field. Kind of a delayed start on the snap. That'll be enough for a first down. As we are chewing off a lot of time in the second quarter, already down to 6 minutes in the second. But main point is they are just 1 year removed from a home playoff game that they won versus West Deptford.
Their first playoff game they ever won.
Yes.
And they were back-to-back years now, 8-3. You know, first year in the Tommy Farrell regime, he was 3-7. Then back-to-back years at 8-3. There is a lot of talents on this roster. Unfortunately, just a tough schedule has got the better of them. They're 0-8, but so far they're in the positive direction to get win number 1 the year. Farrell 19-22 as a head coach for the Hawks.
And again, Farrell, a young head coach, just turned 30 years old this year. And obviously a very passionate head coach about his program, passionate about his players and the culture. As Farms breaks through, still in bounds on the far sideline, and he is in. Touchdown, Malik Farms. He's got a hat trick. Tip your cap to Malik Farms. He's got a 33-yard rushing touchdown, as he's had slow touchdowns, he's had quick touchdowns, he's had them all tonight, and that's now his longest of the day for 33 yards. And now a player is down in the end zone. It looks like it is a J.P. Stevens player. So the athletic training staff for the Hawks come out and attend to their home player who is resting on the goal line. Both teams will get a drink of water, as it is 18 for Manchester, 6 for J.P. Stevens. We'll take a quick break. This was touchdown number 3 of the evening for Manchester Township as they search for their first win of the year. A 33-yard rush by Malik Farms gets himself into the end zone. For those just joining us, you're watching coverage of Crossover Wednesday football here on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. I would like to say, for those new to our program, we welcome you. We're from South Jersey. Again, I'm a second-year student at Rowan College of South Jersey. My color commentator, as we've got a muddle shuffle right here, they're going to snap it out of that, and they're not going to get anything unless they're able to get the direct snap. It's going to be short of the pylon as the muddle huddle is no good, and now Manchester Township and JPS combined 0 for 4 on 2-point conversions tonight, as that time they tried to go even further out of the orthodox, and it was unsuccessful. Taking a look at that one again, usually the muddle huddle means that usually the muddle huddle ends with the lineman going back to the line of scrimmage. Can't say I've seen that one before, but I think maybe they were going to try to go for a direct snap, and with where they were bringing their players, maybe try to find a gap. But either way, not sure if that was a miscommunication or a design play that did not go to plan.
I mean, I've seen a lot of Malik Farms today, and there we saw the last possession
for all 3 touchdowns
in the Wildcat formation. Now they bring Taheem Jackson, who's their second leading receiver. They're trying to get him involved a lot as Phillips Frazier, their leading wide receiver, playing quarterback today for the injured Trevor Fryer. So they're trying to get Taheem Jackson involved as much as possible. He's been targeted twice, doesn't have any receptions, now has a carry. So Jackson getting utilized in this offense. It's something good to see that Coach Tommy Farrell and offensive coordinator Keith Anderson are really trying to implement in the offense. But 0 for 3 in these 2-point conversions is a killer, because later in the game, if the game gets close between both these Hawks squads, we'll see what happens.
Wilson with a direct kick to the left side. Rayford trying to get through. He will get up to the 39, and he is downed. But again, able to hang on to the possession here. Everybody trying to get separated from the pile. Again, that brings me back to a story that I was talking about. I didn't get to complete it, but it was Lenape and Camden Catholic last year that we covered. It was a contentious game. For a crossover game on the Wednesday before Halloween, there were a lot of personal fouls that were called. Haven't seen any so far tonight, but it was a game between a 1-7 team and a 1-8 team. Both teams had missed the playoffs, and again, it was a Wednesday night game before Halloween. That game was 28-27, and if if Camden Catholic had kicked an extra point, they would have tied the game and would have gone to overtime. But both coaches agreed that they did not want to go to overtime, and they did not want to end in a tie. So they basically said, let's just agree to a 2-point conversion, as that pass on the left side will get snuffed out at the line of scrimmage. They basically agreed, okay, we'll do a 2-point conversion. If we get it, we win. If we don't get it, we lose, because that's just how the game didn't really matter in that situation. Camden Catholic ended up getting the 2-point conversion, and they won that game 29-28 over Lenape on the road. But it was a similar situation. A big school versus a smaller school. Now, obviously, parochial schools are going to be smaller, but Manchester Township is a Group 2. Meanwhile, as far as I'm concerned, J.P. Stevens is on the larger end as a Group 5.
It's a big campus here as well.
It looks like a newly renovated campus as well. Pass on the right side, tipped up. Oh, so close. And they were close to getting pass interference as well. Double coverage. Almost had everything in the Easter basket that time. As the pass is broken up, the intended receiver was Zamar Rayford. And again, leading that was Aiden Phillips Frazee and Dom Hunt on the pass coverage.
Would have been Phillips Frazie's second interception this season. And as we mentioned, Zamar Rayford is going to be the lead guy wherever Kajawa will be throwing the football. He's going to look Rayford's way, but it's an unfortunate matter there, and a big break for Manchester Township as Rayford had the angle.
4 minutes remaining in the second quarter. Low snap for Matt Kwajawa. He's in trouble, and on third and 8, he is sacked. Manchester Township wrapping things up in the backfield, and even though J.P. Stevens had an early first quarter touchdown, they're right now not looking like they're in their best selves, as a loss of 4 brings them back to the 35-yard line. It's 4th and 13.
Curtis Mayer being one of the Manchester defenders there.
Haven't heard much from him tonight.
That's going to be sack number 5 for him on the year. And whether he's credited with the half sack or the full sack there, that's a player for that offensive line that J.P. Stevens has to guard, has to worry about in the long blue sleeves.
Timeout called by J.P. Stevens. We will also take a timeout with 3 minutes and 21 seconds left in the second quarter. J.P. Stevens calls their first of the half as it's a battle of two Hawks looking for their first win of the season. It's Manchester 18 and J.P. Stevens 6 right after the break. Tonight's game is kind of filled with us starting stories and then not really getting to complete them. So, again, if you're a J.P. Stevens viewer or a Manchester Township viewer who is not familiar with Dan Wilkins Broadcasting, I'm Dan Wilkins. My color commentator tonight is Matt Goldman. My producer, Vincent Vogt. Vincent is a second-year student at Camden County College, works a great job at the radio station, and has now recently picked up an internship with 97.3 ESPN in Atlantic County. My color commentator, Matt Goldman, second-year, I believe, sports director now at William Patterson, their radio station. And then I'm a second-year student at Rowan College of South Jersey in Gloucester. That's a great punt. This is returned by Manchester. Oh! Massive hit. That'll wake you up. And he's going to stay in bounds as Curtis Mayer, Cameron Longworth took a big one that time. But Manchester able to pick up the extra yards. They get up to the 39-yard line.
I feel like the big hit there overshadowed a fantastic return there from Longworth. He was running with the ball. He had it right in motion. That's a fantastic way to start their fifth possession for Manchester Township.
They're up 18-6. They've had back-to-back drives with a score. Again, they've had blemishes tonight, but not nearly as many as J.P. Stevens. I mean, again, when you come down to a game like this, it sometimes will come down to which team makes the least amount of mistakes, and this might be one of them. I mean, Manchester Township, they've had some fumbles, they've had some bad snaps, they've had some negative yardage. But J.P. Stevens, for a Group 5 school, is a small program. And again, David Kuhn is coming in trying to revitalize the program and salvage at least one win before going into the 2026 campaign. 1st and 10. Manchester lining up from the 38. Low snap for Phillips Frazee. Double clutches, now throws to the left side. It is incomplete. J.P. Stevens taking their hands off that time as almost some contact for Satvik Paul, but it is incomplete. The intended receiver looked like Longsworth. And it'll bring us back to 2nd and 10, and saw something pop up there. Maybe it was just a football getting thrown in the play. But either way, though, our schedule for the rest of this week, no flag. I don't know why I thought I saw one, but somebody threw something in the air. It must have been the football then. But either way, though, our schedule for next week, we've got 3 playoff games this weekend. Thursday, October 30th, Eastern at Kingsway, South Jersey Group 4. That's a 6 o'clock kickoff. Then South Jersey Group 1 from Lou D'Angelo Stadium in Pennsville on Friday night. On Halloween night, Shalleck versus Pennsville, 2 Salem County programs, 7 o'clock kickoff on Halloween night. And then Saturday afternoon, we've got a matchup in Burlington County between the Overbrook Rams and the Delran Bears. So again, 6 o'clock Thursday in Kingsway, 7 o'clock Friday in Pennsville, and 12 noon Saturday in Delran. So for those counting at home, we've got 4 straight days of football in 4 different counties. Middlesex County tonight, Gloucester County tomorrow night, Salem County on Friday night, and then Burlington County on Saturday afternoon. So we will be in a lot of different places for Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. You can expect more of the same in the basketball schedule as well, which we are still working on, but plenty excited to bring that to you in the next couple of weeks or months. 2 receivers to the right. Phillips Frazee hands off to Farms. He will get wrapped up. And on 3rd and 5, that brings up 4th down. And an interesting conundrum. You've got under 2 minutes left in the half clock is running, do you go for it and try to get the extra points, try to be a little bit greedy in a game that doesn't have the biggest of implications, or do you punt it and keep it safe?
You got to play greedy. This is arguably the last game of the season for both these teams. So at this point, it's do or die. If you go for it, you don't get it, so be it. J.P. Stevens could have an opportunity to score a touchdown on the opposing end, but for Manchester Township, Malik Farms is a hat trick today. Maybe he goes for his 4th touchdown on a breakaway. Joshua Collins there was the last player on the tackle on the stoppage of Malik Farms. He also had the 41-yard receiving touchdown earlier in the game. So Collins, that middle linebacker, versus Farms, the running back, is going to be a matchup to watch on at least this drive.
Well, Tommy Farrell bought as much time as he could. He wound the clock down to 1 minute and 10 seconds as Manchester Township calls their first timeout of the half. This broadcast, I don't know, again, we do honor our sponsors here on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting, but I don't know how many kids in Edison are using a driving school an hour and a half away, but we will still honor our wonderful sponsors anyway. This broadcast is brought to you by Harper Driving School. Over 90% of students who take their New Jersey State driving test with Harper pass on the first attempt. If you like those odds, please book an appointment today at Suite 4 of the Total Turf Complex in Pittman at 614 Lambs Road. And if you'd like to make a contribution to Dan Wilkins Broadcasting, LLC, again, we just mentioned it. We introduced all of our crew, all of our staff working on the broadcast tonight. We're all college kids. I'm an hour and a half away from home, and the New Jersey Turnpike is not cheap. If you'd like to make a contribution, of course, not required, but incredibly appreciated, our Venmo is at DW Broadcasting. No spaces, no hyphens, at DW Broadcasting. I'm definitely happy to come up here. I mean, J.P. Stevens seems like a very nice campus, very welcoming staff here, and would be happy to come back up to Middlesex County again, especially we've covered J.P. Stevens one other time, a baseball game versus South River back in April of this year in a neutral site game at the Trenton Thunder Stadium. Offense staying on the field for Tommy Farrell. Farms pass incomplete. Why not try some trickery in a game like this? Farms with a direct snap out of the Wildcat. He threw it, intended for Tyheem Jackson, and it's a turnover on downs. J.P. Stevens now with a 1 minute and 5 second drill at their own 35.
Great coverage there from Zamar Rayford. As you mentioned, this guy is all over the place for J.P. Stevens. He's the one player that could do it all. As we mentioned, now over 600 receiving yards on the year, 6 touchdowns. He has 10 tackles, a forced fumble, over 300 return yards on the season as well. So when you need a big play, Rayford comes up clutch, deflects it out of Tyheem Jackson's hands on a little trickeration pass, Malik Farms' first passing attempt of the year.
That now makes it the 4th quarterback or 4th player for Manchester to attempt to pass this year. Obviously, Fryer, the starter for weeks 0 through 8, has now a pass lined over the middle. It's caught on a slant, breaking through a tackle. He gets 2 down. He's got men on his back. He's got men all over his back, and that's going to be a first down for J.P. Stevens as he gets a gain of 17 yards. He gets it past midfield, and J.P. Stevens with a huge gain.
Dwight McIntosh not messing around so far for J.P. Stevens. He's getting involved a lot today in the receiving game. And this is an air raid attack offense while they're in the shotgun. 4 receivers and 1 running back.
They're trying it again, 1st and 10. Now it's Matt Kawaja in trouble. JPS has 2 timeouts. They burn one of them.
Curtis Mayer just shoved Kawaja pretty much. Not using the as in too much force, and that's going to be number 2 today for Curtis Mayer.
We'll take a quick break as J.P. Stevens calls timeout number 2. Looks like they have – actually, no, scoreboard. I don't think the score yeah, that is their 2nd timeout of the half. They have 1 remaining. They're down by 12. They've got 35 seconds left in the first half. We'll be right back. Wednesday night action here in Middlesex County. Manchester Township and J.P. Stevens. I'm Dan Wilkins, joined by Matt Goldman on the call, Vincent Vogt on the production. 2nd and 15 after a sack. That pass is incomplete. It was intended for Joshua Collins, who had the 41-yard receiving touchdown, which has been the only score for J.P. Stevens to this point tonight.
It was a similar route concept to the earlier touchdown with a swing pass out of the backfield and Matt Kawaja trying to hit Collins in stride there. Unfortunately, that one was a little too overthrown.
Yeah, just a little bit much that time, and J.P. Stevens with Matt Kawaja in the shotgun as the quarterback, he has had some passes that have just gone right over their receivers' heads, and with the wind being a little bit inconsistent tonight, you know, it might be smart for them to keep the ball on the ground, but that's not how J.P. Stevens' offense operates. That's picked. That's going to end the half most likely as he gets thrown to the ground. An interception, the first of the day by Matt Kawaja. As coming in that time was Aiden Phillip Frazee, one quarterback to another, and Manchester Township stops J.P. Stevens right in their tracks with 22 seconds left in the first half.
Interception number 2 now for Aiden Phillips Frazee on the season. He almost had one earlier in that deflected ball from Zamir Rayford, really just, you know, keeping it in stride for J.P. Stevens. But mental mistakes will eat you alive. Kawaja kind of just threw an ill-advised football there. There's a lot to look forward to with Matt Kawaja as he still has one more year to play for J.P. Stevens. But just an interesting decision there as I feel he was a little rushed.
Yeah, both of these quarterbacks for both teams definitely, you know, they'll still have time under center in the years to come. Trevor Fryer, a class of 2027 graduate, and then Matt Kawaja still has 1 year left with J.P. Stevens as they do opt to rush with 18 seconds left. That might be the last play of the half. Tommy Farrell looking at the sideline. 2nd and 6. Wouldn't be surprised they've got 7 seconds left, and with the lack of urgency, that signals to us and the rest of the crew that will end the first half. It was a high-scoring affair to start, and then Manchester Township picked up 12 unanswered points. It was tied 6-6, and then 3 rushing touchdowns from Malik Farms have put this game in a situation where the Hawks of Manchester will lead the Hawks of J.P. Stevens at 12 going into the halftime break. We'll take about a 15-minute break. Please stay tuned for the Dan Wilkins Broadcasting Archives program, where we show you the best of our 4-year history covering South and Central Jersey high school athletics. From walk-off hits to game-winning home runs to game-winning shots and everything in between. We'll be back in about 15 minutes right after this.
Is that really how long halftime is?
And it gets past everybody. Graham will go back to position with no goal scored. They'll count down the time out loud here. Out to the left. One final shot, and it gets through. How about a buzzer beater? How do you do? It's a lead extending goal for Justin Lewis.
Book Dog Pro Wrestling for your next event or outing for the greatest action that New Jersey Pro Wrestling has to offer. Any place, any time, any setting, Dog Pro Wrestling will bring the action to you, and you won't want to miss it for moments like this. But don't just take it from me. Take it from Max Mundo, the Dog Pro Wrestling ambassador.
This is Max Mundo with Dog Pro Wrestling. Are you a civic organization, sporting club looking to fundraise? Then look no further to Dog Pro Wrestling. We do grand openings, corporate events, and much more.
And why not from some of the wrestling talent themselves?
I'm Vinny the Fixer, and I'm the champion of Dog Professional Wrestling. If you want to book the best, come see us. We're the cream of the crop. We'll come to any fundraiser you can think of. Just name the place and we'll show up.
This is the upstanding Dylan Mesh, and for the entirety of my professional wrestling career, dog wrestling has been a mainstay for where I like to wrestle. So you can believe me when I say that it is quality. And I'm upstanding. I'm the only opinion you need.
Yeah!
It's your boy Gabriel Hodder here with my man Matthew Oman, and if you want your events to be all fight, no flight,
then book Dog Wrestling so you can witness true primal fear. Woo!
In life, the road ahead is full of possibilities, but to navigate it safely, you need the right skills. Harper Driving School is the premier driving school serving Gloucester, Salem, and Camden counties. With experienced instructors, many of whom are teachers in local schools, we are dedicated to your success and will help you master the road with confidence. With an over 95% success rate of students passing their road test on their first try, you know your student will be in good hands while embarking on a huge step of their young adult lives, all while avoiding the lines at the DMV and getting insurance discounts.
We chose Harper, and so should you.
So after the holding call to be 1st and 20, as now rolling out to the right side, he's got a little bit of room to run on a QB rush. He's going to get a first down. There's no flags, and how about this for 61 yards? Anthony Gaetano with a QB rush that works to perfection. He hugs the sideline, and Anthony Gaetano gets the scoring started for the Redhawks at 7-6. Doubleheader reached first on an error in the first at-bat of Game 2. This one's lined into center field. Slider going over. He dives. Did he make the... Yes, Ryan Slider makes the catch. Not on a slide, but instead on a dive. 2 away. Late switch for the visitors. Again inside their 5. Oh, they're going to pitch this one back for the flea flicker. Touchdown, West. Oh, my goodness. Taking inspiration from Nick Foles and Trey Burton. I think they just pulled off the Philly special. That is the greatest touchdown I have ever seen. Well, maybe not the greatest touchdown I've ever seen. Maybe that's stretching a little bit, but one of the greatest touchdowns we've seen in a long time. And it's a tie game. And this is going to bring up Andrew Petrick, who has a single in this game. And here's a fly ball popped up right field side. And it's fair. It's fair. They're going to throw to second for try to get this play, the force out. They got him, but the game is tied. How about it for Woodstown? They complete the comeback to make it 8-8. So now there is one out after Kubat let it fall in right.
And because the bases were loaded, you know what? That's a very smart play. BB and Copsetta trading a couple looks. They know what's going on. Full count. Bases loaded. 2 outs. Just like they drew it up in Hollywood. Caladros, the 3-2. Swing and a miss! And the Audubon Green Wave have upset the Kingsway Dragons in the Ralph Shaw Classic 26th annual. They are back on top for the first
It is starting to rain on the field here at McGowan Memorial Stadium as it's 18-6, Manchester Township over J.P. Stevens. Matt, we went into this contest tonight between two teams that are searching for their first win this year. Manchester Township has certainly had fallen on hard times after an 8-3 season last year. They won a playoff game. They won their first playoff game in program history last year. And they come into this, you know, like we said, we called this game between Manchester and Barnegat in early September. And we did not think that Manchester was going to be 0-9
No, not at all.
by the time the regular season was over. But the circumstances are such. But tonight, Manchester Township is looking like their old selves here versus J.P. Stevens. 3 rushing touchdowns from Malik Farms.
Yeah, Malik Farms really being that prime tailback in this the spread formation that Manchester runs. That's what you like to see. Is his last high school game before he may play at the college level. 3 rushing touchdowns, I think nearly 80 to 90 yards on the ground. He's really getting stuff going. A 33-yard rushing touchdown to capitalize it, and he just really could get stuff going, whether he's running inside or outside the tackles. Malik Farms is that instant offense that Manchester Township has needed all season. I get J.P. Stevens is more of a team that matches up to Manchester Township compared to some of the other teams in the Shore Conference, but they're playing out of their element here in Middlesex County, and that's what you like to see.
Yeah, I mean, this game was scheduled around last week, and we were offered to cover this game. Big thanks to, again, the head coaches for these two programs, Tommy Farrell and David Kunis. But, again, when we talk about why these two programs are playing, both teams are 0-9. Both teams are looking for their first win. J.P. Stevens hasn't looked that bad. For a head coach that's a former defensive line coach at Monmouth, a Division I FCS program, I believe they're still in. They're either in the national rankings or they
number
were
10 in the FCS.
They are number 10. I don't follow FCS as much as I should, but I remember Monmouth's first game of the year versus Villanova was one that was really highly contested and one that I like to watch. Monmouth is a program in West Long Branch that really recruits Central and South Jersey talent. So David Kunis comes from a good lineage of coaches over there for the Monmouth Hawks. And the big thing for J.P. Stevens going into this second half, I would actually say keep throwing the ball, but make it shorter. I think that the big thing for Matt Kawaja tonight is that he has been throwing the ball, but he's been overshooting his receivers. I think he's been trying to put all his eggs in one basket when you don't really need to do that in this situation. It's a Week 9 game. It's the buffer week, and obviously it's the last game scheduled for either of these programs. Kind of a little tune-up to close out the regular season, give both of these teams a little bit of closure. And right now, J.P. Stevens is not out of it. It's 18-6. Both teams have failed to make a 2-point conversion tonight. But Malik Farms is the man that J.P. Stevens needs to target. But I would say as well, J.P. Stevens has a well-rounded roster. For a Group 5 program, it's a small, tight-knit program, but they do seem to have their ducks in a row most of the time. If they can take advantage of the mistakes that Manchester Township will make in the second half, I can see them getting the 2 scores needed to tie up this game, and we could have a high-intensity finish here in Edison tonight.
Yeah, a player to watch on the defensive line for J.P. Stevens, Aaron Tinio. He already had a tackle for loss at the goal line on Malik Farms earlier before they went into the Wildcat formation. That's what you like to see. That's winning football. That's winning pedigree there for J.P. Stevens. And then Zamar Rayford offensively has been out of this world. He's been phenomenal. He's really doing everything, whether it's playing, defensive back, whether it's being a wide receiver, whether it's being the lead kick returner. Zamar Rayford, number 5 for J.P. Stevens, has been all over the field, along with number 4 for Manchester, Aiden Phillips-Rishi. The quarterback also has an interception today. So Rayford is really going to have to get stuff through, and he's going to have to be that spark plug, that main force for Manchester Township if they want to win this football game today.
Well, both teams are warming up on their respective sidelines. Referees have broken from their huddles. J.P. Stevens getting their last reps in before 24 more minutes of football here in Middlesex County. It's the Manchester Township Hawks 18, the J.P. Stevens Hawks 6. We'll take a quick break. We've got some more football here in the second half from Edison at McGowan Memorial Stadium. We'll be right back. 1 half down, 1 half to go here from Edison. It's McGowan Memorial Stadium, 18 for Manchester, 6 for J.P. Stevens. Manchester, after recovering an opening fumble on the kickoff, they now will return this kickoff as an over-the-shoulder return that time by Dom Hunt. He will get wrapped up hard inside the 30, and that's where Manchester Township starts their first drive of the second half. And we've got a late flag coming in. I wonder if this is for that late hit, or I should say kind of the tackle made on Dom Hunt. We'll see if this is, again, with the nature of this flag, might be our first personal foul of the night. It will be against J.P. Stevens for a personal foul.
You don't like to see extracurriculars after the play, especially for two teams that this last game of the year.
Yeah, last game of the year for both teams, and you know, we talk about how much in terms of crossover football they may need. As you can see, rain droplets coming down. It's not an aggressive rain. I mean, we're also in the press box here in Edison, so it might not be as bad as we may expect. But, you know, as it stands right now, it's already cold. It's already windy. You add on rain to it, and it's going to be an interesting second half. Big thing, though, ball security. Never gets easier to secure the ball when it's wet on turf. Farms gets 2 yards. So he was wrapped up inside the 30, but a 15-yard penalty starts Manchester at their own 46.
It's an instant spark plug, as I mentioned. Malik Farms really utilizing his role in this offense, running in between the tackles there, picks up about 2, and Farms just, you know, he's getting elusive for this second half. That's what you like to see, the lead power back in this offense. He's not, you know, a big brawler, but he's more that flashy, more that elusive guy.
And off, that one is wrapped up for a loss. They'll keep him on his feet to keep, whoa, hold on here, hello. Collins brought him down, but no flag called.
Surprise there, a little bit nasty hit there from Collins. But I guess it's the emotions for playing football.
Yeah, and I think as well, they're trying not to. I think the referees are not trying to stir too much of the pot here by calling a personal foul there. I mean, you know, the philosophy that's taught is that when you hear the whistles, you give up everything. You know, the play is over. Don't try to get any forward progress. Don't try to send a man to a ground. I've seen it sometimes where it's automatic, where if a player goes down via contact or via, you know, getting pushed, as the whistle blows, after the whistle blows, it's an immediate flag. It's an immediate 15-yard penalty. But it really depends on how these referees operate and how they end up going forward with their officiating leniency. That one was a low snap. Phyllis Frazee looking to work through the line. He is sacked. That is a loss of 6 yards as the tackle completed by number 21. How about that time? It was Aaron Teneo, you mentioned it. Had a tackle for loss, now adds a sack to his resume.
This will be sack
for the
number
senior
3.
defensive lineman.
Sack number 3 for Teneo. That's what you like to see. That's someone I called out before we did the halftime show as someone to watch in this second half for J.P. Stevens. He's already making his mark filled. A good spin move there, a good way to get around the offensive tackle. Takes down Phil Frazee.
Well, an unexpected drive for Manchester Township. After a 15-yard penalty was applied on the kickoff, it ends with a sack. And a punt that goes off of his own lineman. Oh, no. J.P. Stevens will have the ball at their opposing 39. He punted that ball off of his own lineman's chest plate. Wow. There was somebody blocking in front of the punter. Wow. I mean, that could have been disaster. J.P. Stevens could have returned that for more yards than what they bargained for. Taking a look again, just in slow motion here, you could see, yeah, he punted it straight off of his own blocker's back. And after Manchester Township has had such a good first half, up by 12 points, they now reopen the door for J.P. Stevens to get back in this game. Collins on the carry is going to be short of the line of scrimmage. Oh, he lifted him up that time. Kuniz definitely wants a flag. He's not happy about it. Even though his runner didn't go down, he was lifted up by one of the lead tacklers for Manchester Township, number 69, Desmond Askew. the junior, 6'4". The junior O lineman and D lineman. That's a loss of 3.
It's a big guy up there, and they don't really run the football. J.P. Stevens, we haven't seen them run the football too much. Joshua Collins doesn't even have over 100 rushing yards this year, and he's one of the leading rushers. I believe he's 34.
Low snap. Kawaja over the middle, or excuse me, that is number 8, Kawaja. Gets it back to the line of scrimmage. I mean, Shamar Birch and Matt Kawaja have combined for 1,200 passing yards this year.
It's an air raid attack.
The team as a whole, though, has 7 touchdowns and 19 interceptions. 12 of those coming from Birch, and for Matt Kawaja, he's had 7 interceptions this year, and I think we highlighted it in the quarterback profile. Again, not really trying to rag on him too much. He had a 6-interception game versus Roselle Park 2 weeks ago, and that's why I stressed so much that J.P. Stevens has to be aware of where they're throwing the ball and who they're throwing the ball to. They can't just toss it all willy-nilly. The ball pops out, it advances forward, and Manchester falls on it for Aiden Phillips Frazee.
Rayford tried to get a little too
Hawks
fancy
ball.
there.
Fumble turnover.
An unfortunate matter, and J.P. Stevens had a ton of momentum going into this drive. Unfortunately, just mental mistakes eat them alive. 1 step forward, 2 steps behind, as I mentioned previously. It's just going to be the killer for J.P. Stevens.
Well, as much as Malik Farms seems like he is a player of the game to be locked in if Manchester Township wins this game, how about Aiden Phillips Frazee? As a quarterback, he's done very well, but he's arguably had more contributions on defense. He's had an interception, several tackles for loss, and now comes in and picks up a fumble recovery to give Manchester Township the ball back, still with 7.5 minutes left in the third quarter. Plenty of time to go up 3 scores.
As I mentioned, a 5-tool player, listed as a wide receiver, leads the team in receiving, now playing quarterback, making his mark as a defensive back with an interception and a fumble recovery.
And off to Farms, right side. He's going to break through, and he is all alone. Left side, he now cuts towards the middle, and the ball pops out again. This time Malik Farms has it, though. That was almost a double turnover. And instead, now Farms is down. He got hit hard at the 38-yard line. It's a gain of, looks like 18 yards, rather. Actually, looks like a gain of 20-plus. Tommy Farrell coming out to meet with his player, lifting his left leg. Could be a cramp issue. Again, don't want to speculate too much, but again, in this environment, we talk about, I mean, how many times Vince, Matt, and I, we've all worked games in early September, late August of this year. We basically called weeks 0 and 1 cramp week because of how many players would go down because they weren't drinking enough water, they weren't hydrating with enough water or Gatorade to get themselves in a proper position. And this is the first or second, it was the second injury time out of the night, as J.P. Stevens almost picked up another fumble recovery. This time, though, Farms getting attended to, and he gets back up. He will sit out for 1 play, but it is a first down for Manchester from the 39-yard line. Huge gain for Farms there, and he is walking off the field under his own power, but definitely gingerly favoring that left leg.
It's a big question now for Manchester Township. Who's going to be that lead offensive skill guy? Taheem Jackson hasn't really got stuff brewing. He's been intended 4 times today. He also was the receiving end of a pass that was batted down by Zamar Rayford. But who's going to be that lead tailback? Is it going to be Cameron Longsworth? Is it going to be Ryan Hetzel in the backfield with Aiden Phillips Frazee? We'll see. Are they going to have a quarterback design run, whether it's a zone read or they keep on the option?
And how long is he going to be out? It's a minimum of 1 play, but it could be an entire drive. It could be the rest of the quarter. We don't know yet. He hits a brick wall, but still stays through down to the 33 on the rush by Longsworth that time, the senior back. He definitely would probably be second in line that time, as he does have 24 rushes going into this game, 160 yards and a touchdown in that aforementioned 33-22 game. Manchester's closest loss of the season, an 11-point loss to Toms River South, a team that also fell on hard times this year, 2-7 for Toms River South.
Longsworth also has 16 tackles, a forced fumble, and an interception this year. So he's also played about more than half of the snaps today on defense as a defensive back, lining up as a corner. So Longsworth is going to be someone to look out for with Farms being out, as maybe that lead tailback in the backfield with Hetzel and Phyllis Raggi.
2nd and 6 after a 4-yard gain on the rush by Longsworth. Still no Farms in the field of play, and now Frazee moving forward. He's going to get about 2 yards, scrambling on the right side as he couldn't find anybody open, and it's now 3rd down and mid-range.
Without their instant offense guy in Farms, I think Manchester here has to go little by little, if anything, if they want to continue to stay competitive and build their lead up more and more.
And again, for both of these teams, there is really no incentive to be safe, to be conservative. It's your last game of the year. This is not a playoff game. This is a crossover game on a Wednesday night. Everybody's working on short rest, considering that you're playing in the middle of the week. And you might as well. If you're Tommy Farrell, you know that some of these players will be returning. If you're David Kunis, you know some of these players will be returning. Why not work on some extra plays? This game will count in the regular standings. Oh, that's incomplete. That receiver on the far side quite upset with himself, as he could have had a 1st down if he just caught, pivot, and turned. But instead, it's going to be 4th and 6. And again, no reason for Manchester Township to play it safe here. I mean, you're up by 12 points. If this was a regular season game of any capacity where playoff bouts were on the line, playoff berths were in the cards, I would say yes, punt. Try to trap them inside the 5. But right now, this is a situation where you have to work on playing through adversity. This is a relatively low-stakes game. Why not experiment a little bit? You saw Malik Farms literally pass the ball over the middle out of a Wildcat direct snap. Why not try something different? Aiden Phillips-Frazee still in the shotgun, 2 receivers on each side. Now he's going to let it fly. It is incomplete. That was intended for the slot receiver closest to the left guard. It was Trevor Otten. And back-to-back drops. And while the rain has stopped, the ball security has not gotten any better. What did we mention going into the second half about how the rain was going to play a factor on this turf field, with how it was going to be very slick, very slippery? We saw a fumble that ended J.P. Stevens' drive, and we almost saw another one to end Manchester's drive. This time, the offense couldn't get it going, and we remain at our halftime score, 18-6, with 5 minutes left in the 3rd quarter.
Back-to-back drops for Manchester, as you mentioned, Dan. It's definitely difficult. The simple curl concept, the far receiver couldn't catch that one, and Trevor Otten dropping a really easy one.
They sent it over the middle. That was a nice catch. Now it's rolling out to the right side for Rayford. He's got room. He's got nobody in his area code. All the way to the end zone. Touchdown, J.P. Stevens. That one was another long receiving touchdown, this time by Zamar Rayford, the sophomore. As the lights with a blackout. The lights just went out. I think that was intentional, but now they're trying to. They took the lights out for the touchdown celebration, and now they're back on.
What is going on in Edison?
It's Wednesday night madness in Edison. I'm sure Tommy Farrell's not thrilled about that, but they turned out the lights. Now, Pennsville does a similar thing with their touchdown celebrations, but the lights don't go completely out. I can't say I've seen that one before. It's not Vince. It's not Washington Township from last year with a 30-minute delay because these are LEDs and they're not running off generators. We're going to have a muddle huddle here for J.P. Stevens. They will try another two-point conversion. Direct snap, left side. He is wrapped down.
Rayford couldn't get it in that time. After that burst of a touchdown from Zamar Rayford, he looks phenomenal today. As I mentioned, just a player who's going to excel. He's only a sophomore, so he's 2 more years to grow in this J.P. Stevens Hawk system. He's been astronomical today. gets that big touchdown and puts J.P. Stevens back in it. A game that, honestly, at one point looked out of reach with how Manchester Township was going down the field in their last possession, but Rayford single-handedly gets the ball on a little, not really a slant, but there's more of a drag down the middle and just continuously went and burst at all the defenders from Manchester Township.
That brings J.P. Stevens' deficit to 6 on a 60-yard receiving touchdown by Zamir Rayford. This broadcast is brought to you by our good friends over at Gray Fox Sports. Premier sports photography right in your backyard. Book Gray Fox today at grayfoxsports.net or Gray Fox Sports on Instagram. That's a shot of a little bit of a configuration outside of McGowan Memorial Stadium. You can kind of see it on the far side of the field, made up of a whole bunch of green and yellow pegs that fill in the chain link fence. And that's going to be a 2-hop kick return. It'll be returned by Longsworth. Wow! He stayed on his feet. And a man down. Receiver down. Wow. That sent this crowd into a frenzy. J.P. Stevens, though, the attention turns to him, and in what was a relatively quiet stadium, you could hear the helmet-to-helmet contact. Wow, the returner was number 6, Taheem Jackson. And while that was a massive hit, the attention now turns to hoping that J.P. Stevens player is okay. Oh, man, wow. That was the replay.
That's a bruise.
I'm trying to be respectful to the kid, but that was a clothesline right there. I mean, that you really hope he's okay because, I mean, I'll just say right now, that definitely seemed a little bit uncalled for. I mean, first of all, the fact that he just got up and he's walking off the field now, that's incredible because that was a hit that you're not going to see anywhere else. That was number 6, Mateo Kumar, the junior. Thank goodness he's okay. Whew, man. That turned this up to an 11 and maybe a little response as a 60-yard receiving touchdown by Zamir Rayford, now is brought up. First of all, also, no penalty flags.
No
on
penalty
that play.
there.
They said it was clean.
It appeared to be I don't know, a little helmet-to-helmet action there.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that.
From our angle, you never know. We're not on the field, so we can't really make that accurate representation. It's tough.
Rush. Now another breakaway. Oh, and the ball popped out. But no, they're going to say that he was down by contact. Longsworth was on the carry. It popped out and was almost brought up by Raquan Woodson. They're going to say it's 1st and 10 from the 35, still Manchester ball.
Wow, just ball's coming out crazy here. Big hits. The energy here at Edison has went from a 1 to a 10 in a matter of a couple plays. So we'll see if that energy continues moving forward. I don't believe McFarms is still in this game. So that's a big blow for Manchester Township. So they're looking for any instant offense.
Again, Farms was favoring his left leg, and it looked like it might have just been a cramp, but could be more than that. 1st and 10. And they also could be playing it safe with this being his last game of the year. Longsworth will have a loss. And just like that, J.P. Stevens is back in this game. Unless there's another first down, but I'm still saying right now, I mean, Manchester Township was up by 12 points at the half. It wasn't looking good. And now J.P. Stevens comes back, 60-yard receiving touchdown, now followed up by a lot of great defensive stops back-to-back.
Yeah, just some misdirection there, or some mishaps, rather, for Manchester Township. It looked like Philip Frazier and Longsworth weren't really interconnected there on the snap. And unfortunately, that loss just really puts them in this bad spot because now we're looking at it, it's 2nd down and pretty far at this point.
Yeah, I mean, first down marker is at the 45-yard line. They've got 14 yards to go. They are marking it as 2nd and 15. Throw, right side, it is short. He tried to trap it, but it was incomplete. The intended receiver on the far side of the field was number 17, Damian Brockmeyer, the junior tight end. That brings up 3rd and 15.
If I'm in Phillips Frazier here, I'm looking at my 2 biggest playmakers on this offense, and that's number 6, Taheem Jackson, and number 8, Cameron Longsworth. One of these 2 guys have to make a play here. As we mentioned, no Malik Farms after a hat trick of touchdowns early on in the first half. Now with about 2:30 left in this third quarter, something has to happen, because right now J.P. Stevens has all the momentum in the world to get stuff brewing.
They definitely have a lot of momentum. I mean, that big return was a big thing. Obviously, Manchester tried to get a little bit of extra bonus points with that big hit. It's 3rd and 15. Now Phillips Frazee, right side. He is ahead of the line of scrimmage. He has to stay on his feet, and he is down. Some big hits there. And that's where I worry about that. As much as it's a highlight-worthy hit from Manchester Township against J.P. Stevens, I worry that it sets a precedent because there was no penalty flag called on that kickoff return play. And if they want to keep this game in order, I mean, it's not getting chippy right now. It could later.
But big stuff like that.
But big stuff like that ticks off J.P. Stevens. I'm sure it does. You just saw one of your players get clotheslined on a kickoff return. You're not going to be happy about that. And you're going to want to get some revenge. That's just how high school players are. They're going to fake a punt on 4th and 15, and he's 4th and 5, and he's stopped. Dom Hunt gets stopped, and it's number 21, Aaron Teneo, a defensive mainstay for the Hawks of J.P. Stevens.
That's 3 big-time plays now. Teneo has made a tackle for loss on the 1-yard line from Malik Farms. On his 2nd touchdown of the day, he stopped him, really preserving some clock there. Teneo also had a sack to start this second half, and now the tackle on Dom Hunt on this fake punt. Teneo really being that anchor of the defense. Going into now over 30 tackles on the year. He has 3 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery. Teneo really making his mark in his final high school game for J.P. Stevens.
It's not known whether we don't know yet whether J.P. Stevens is scheduling a second crossover game, but this very well could be it. That pass is complete to Rayford, who had the last touchdown, gets it up to the 30, gets 6 yards. Again, this game was scheduled around last week, and Tommy Farrell, who we know pretty well from the South Jersey scene, contacted us about covering this game because we've been to Manchester Township twice. We were there for our 3-year DWB anniversary in October of 2024. They lost 42-7 to Rumson Fairhaven, and we got to see Owen O'Toole in that game, a great shore conference quarterback. And then we saw Manchester earlier this year in a Week 1 loss to Barnegat by 18 points. Pass, left side, caught by Collins. That's a first down and then some. And while he stays in bounds, he's at the 18-yard line, and they are in the red zone. Just need 6 points to tie this game. And what did we mention about 2-point conversions being an incredible factor? No team has attempted a 1-point PAT. Everybody's been 2-point or bust, and neither team has made a 2-point. Manchester's 0 for 3, JPS is 0 for 2. So if JPS scores, as it looks like they're going to wind down to the end of the third quarter, if JPS scores in the opening drive of the fourth quarter and then gets a 2-point conversion, that would be the first 2-point conversion of the game, and it would certainly turn the momentum on its head. The clock winds down to 0, and here from Edison, it's the Hawks of Manchester 18, the Hawks of J.P. Stevens here in Middlesex County 12. But J.P. Stevens, they've got all the momentum, and they are 18 yards away from tying this game. We've got 12 more minutes right after this. 3 quarters down, 1 to go here in Edison. It's J.P. Stevens 12, Manchester Township 18. I'm Dan Wilkins, joined by Matt Goldman and Vincent Vogt as this one's off to the right side. Matt Kawaja, incomplete. A close call on 1st and 10 after a big rush by Collins. Pass was intended for Koresh Salah, the sophomore. That's the big thing here that I have confidence for J.P. Stevens is that they seem to have at least something figured out
a young core
for the future. They've got a lot of young receivers. They've also got a handful of young linemen as well. You know, and I would say for J.P. Stevens, you've got one more year of Mac Kachawa as the quarterback, and then you got, on the other side of the ball, Trevor Fryer, 2 more years in Manchester Township. So both of these teams are going to be one that are going to have very projectable 2026 seasons, and it's going to come down to where these teams line up. 2nd and 10, Kawaja drops back. It's dumped off, tried to throw it into the offensive line, and it's incomplete.
Great pressure there from Desmond Askew, really making Kawaja really just uncomfortable there in the pocket. Has to throw it away quick, and all the momentum in the world went to J.P. Stevens in that 3rd quarter. Now we enter the 4th here. Now it's 3rd down after 2 stops by the Manchester Township defense. If they can make another stop here, the momentum slowly creeps towards Manchester Township to take this game over once for all.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that this momentum in this game has been all or nothing. It hasn't been Manchester has a little bit of momentum and J.P. Stevens has a little bit of momentum. Right now, JPS has all the momentum and Manchester has none. Pass, left side, in double coverage, it's incomplete. And Rayford unable to come up with it. It's 4th and 10. They're at the 19-yard line. So back-to-back incompletions.
I understand that Kawaja wants to hit Rayford being that spark plug, the instant option offense for J.P. Stevens here. But if he's double covered, there's other receivers on the field. I know it's his 3rd game starting Matt Kawaja, but I think that was a little ill-advised, a little into panic mode, but still JPS could get stuff going here. It is 4th and 10, so they have to make a mark right here, right now.
Again, Shamar Birch was the senior quarterback for J.P. Stevens, but he has not played since October the 10th versus Metuchen. Throw left side. It's caught over the middle. Oh, he fell down, and he may be short of the 1st down. This is going to be close. Rayford made the play, and even though it's not actively raining, the turf is still slick from that rain that came down during the halftime break and early in the 3rd quarter. And with how the chains are looking, that is going to be a yard short. 1st down, Manchester.
Zamar Rayford,
what a break,
has done everything in his power to get this JPS team back into this game. But the turf monster ate him alive there. And Zamar Rayford a yard short. And Manchester Township now has to get away from this. They're in not the best field territory to start this or start their 1st drive of the 4th quarter with 11:30 left in this quarter. Just start being creative, really. I'm not sure if Farms is back in the game. It's been a lot of Longsworth. It's been a lot of intended throws to different receivers, whether it's Taheem Jackson, whether it's been Otten or Brockmeyer. Someone has to step up here for the Hawks.
They're inside their own 15-yard line. Phillips Frazee handoff left side. Longsworth gets about 5 yards. It spills off into the far sideline. And it's 2nd in mid-range for Manchester.
Longsworth, one of his longer carries today since the apparent injury of Malik Farms. He's going to be looked upon as that lead option in the backfield.
We have an injury timeout on the far side of the field. Referee signaling for attention on, looks like right around the far sideline as they'll go past Manchester's huddle and they'll attend to a player that looks like he's being a little bit sheltered by that Manchester Township huddle. But we'll take a quick break. 11:09 left in quarter number 4. Again, we're a little bit further away from home, but this is a nice game to be at here on a quiet Wednesday evening here in Edison. It's Manchester 18, J.P. Stevens 12. After the injury timeout, it was Joshua Collins that was down. It was a 5-yard play on the last rush to Longsworth. Sends it off again. This time he's got a first down and some more. He is at the 40, he's at the 50, and he's tackled at the 45. Manchester gets stopped in their tracks, but not before a huge first down to swing the momentum right back into the hands of the Hawks.
Cameron Longsworth really stepping up, being that ideal playmaker, the ideal skill guy in Manchester Township's offense, and you need that. That is the big, big thing for Manchester Township with no Farms, no Fryer. They're a little light today, but still Longsworth making his mark known in his last game.
So that was a big rush that time for Manchester Township. It moves the possession to the opposing 45 as Manchester with a big gain of 20+. They got across the 50, and after going up by 12 to end the first half, they have not had any luck in the third quarter, and now entering the fourth, looking to turn the tide. Good snap read by JPS on the rush. Longsworth again breaking through a tackle. He went hip to hip, and now he goes up to the 25.
Have yourself a day, Cameron Longsworth. Just keeps on going, breaking tackles, doing everything in his power to get Manchester out of the bad field territory they were at. And Longsworth just really getting stuff going. That's what you need if you're Manchester Township. If you want to be comfortable, if you want a safety blanket to be known, that's Cameron Longsworth, and he could potentially score one more to get his second touchdown of the season and put Manchester up comfortably as we head to the latter half of this fourth quarter.
As it stands, 9.5 minutes in the fourth quarter here from Edison at Middlesex County. We thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Dan Wilkins, joined by Matt Goldman on the call, Vincent Vogt on the production. Here comes another rush. Oh, there was a Manchester player who got put in a really bad predicament, but it looks like he's standing up. It was number 44 on the line that almost got his leg crushed. Very, very lucky that he's okay there. 2nd and 9.
So it looks like J.P. Stevens there is finding the identity of Manchester, and that's running the football, whether it's a zone, whether it's a stretch, whether it's a counter really even, just finding just run to the guy who's going to get the football. We've seen all runs so far in this drive. Phil Sfragy not utilizing his arm. We haven't seen any quarterback design runs really either. It's just been straight run the football to Longsworth, whether it's a zone, whether it's a stretch, whether it's a counter.
Yeah, and I mean, that's one thing that can sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes can make a game great, is when two teams have polar opposite offensive strategies. J.P. Stevens is an air raid. Manchester is a spread offense that really likes to run the ball. As Longsworth with another rush. That's going to be short. They are inside the red zone now, but a hearty gain for Manchester. Puts them inside the 20 at around the 17-yard line. But, again, the point is it doesn't work all the time. Like Washington Township has a nice, not really an air raid offense, but a nice combo offense that combines passing and rushing really well. Meanwhile, Timber Creek, they don't like to pass the ball that much. They've got a freshman quarterback, and they run out of the Wildcat a lot. That did not work, and Washington Township won that game 38-0. But the outside factor, Washington Township is the number 3 team in the state. So it's not shocking. On 3rd and 4. This is going to be close. We'll see where they spot this one. Again, it's going to be enough for a Manchester first down.
It's been the Cameron Longworth show.
Especially in this drive, absolutely.
Just continuing. Yeah, the offensive line, too. A lot of credit to the big boys up front, and especially the fullback there, Ryan Hetzel, number 44, just getting Longsworth in every way, shape, form possible. Just get up that offensive line to get up and get yardage.
1st and 10. Manchester, obviously the focus is to get a touchdown, but they also would like to take a lot of time off the scoreboard. Phillips Frazee, handoff to Longsworth, getting wrapped up in the JPS line. Ball comes out, but there were whistles. There were whistles. This might be down by contact. And listen, David Kunis has been denied many times tonight. He's probably, I would imagine that entire sideline, they are not thrilled at all about the referees with the short whistles. Yeah, that's where that can be definitely controversial because J.P. Stevens has had now 2 fumble recoveries taken away thanks to a down by contact or down by knee. That's always a slippery slope because the referees sometimes they'll kind of have a quick whistle. Hold on here.
A lot of
referee just came
here.
in from the far sideline, and
there were whistles, which would have been down by contact, but the ball popped out before Longsworth touched the ground.
Yeah, well, now they got everything straightened up, so Manchester Township keeps possession.
That's a break for the Hawks of Manchester Township, because if they couldn't score in this drive and all the momentum J.P. Stevens had, we may see a tied ball game.
Well, they're now 12 yards away. It's 2nd and 8. Phillips Frazee kind of a laboring handoff there, and that's going to be stopped. And a late flag. And J.P. Stevens looks like they're up in arms on the sideline. This might be against J.P. Stevens here.
A late flag
came in from the back. Came in from the back line. I mean, it looked like it was after the play. It was after the runner was down for Manchester and Longsworth. Although now J.P. Stevens, they went from agony to celebration as it is a personal foul on Manchester Township. That's a 15-yard penalty.
As I mentioned for J.P. Stevens, 1 step forward, 2 steps behind. This is Manchester Township in this drive. We saw a ball pop out from Longsworth. Now we see a personal foul from the Manchester Township Hawks. This is just beating yourself in the foot. It's just not winning football at all. And Manchester Township really digging themselves into this big hole. Hopefully they can get out of it, because if they don't score now, it may be an issue.
15-yard penalty on a personal foul. So now there's confusion on the far sideline because Tommy Farrell is saying there's the wrong down. He's saying that it's 3rd down. Not sure what the confusion is exactly on the far sideline, but Tommy Farrell, you can hear him from over here.
And number 3 is coming back into the game.
Malik Farms is coming back into the game, but again, we mentioned it before. That's the talk of the town. 15-yard penalty, personal foul. Now 3rd and 20, as they were just 1 first down away from a 1st and goal. Now Farms coming back into the game after a lengthy injury break that cost him about a quarter's worth of time. It's now going to be 4th and 15. So it was enough, but if you're Manchester, you cannot settle here. Because even if you turn over the ball, you won't give J.P. Stevens good field position, but the time is where things will start to wear down. They've got 4 minutes, 40 seconds and counting, and it'll now come down to whether J.P. Stevens will have enough time to get down the field. Obviously, it takes 1 play. It only takes 1 breakthrough to get it, but what if J.P. Stevens doesn't reclaim the momentum that they had for pretty much all of the 3rd quarter?
So what I saw there, Malik Farms limped off the field, it looks like. It's going to be Longworth back into the game as the lead tailback for Manchester Township.
And look at Manchester taking all of their time. The referees were now counting off the clock while Manchester was in the huddle, leaving no secret that they were going to call a timeout, their first of the half. We'll take a quick break. Manchester up by 6 points. They're looking to put this game away. Meanwhile, J.P. Stevens looking to kick down the door and keep this one alive. It's 18-12, 4:09 left in quarter number 4. Welcome back. Manchester Township fooled nobody. I mean that with all due respect. They called a timeout as they wound down the clock. 4:09 left in the fourth. Tommy Farrell and crew still talking it over as we'll return from the timeout break. Again, we're relatively new to both of these schools. Manchester Township, only their third time on our network. J.P. Stevens, only their second time appearing on this program. We'd like to thank you for joining us if this is your first time watching Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. If you'd like to make a contribution, you can send us anything on Venmo at DW Broadcasting, no spaces, no hyphens. Here we go. They're going to try a fake pass. Left side, short, and J.P. Stevens is back in this one as a fake pitch to the back. Experimentation all around, improvisation all around for Manchester Township as Taheem Jackson attempted his second pass of the season. However, it was no good, and Manchester Township gets a turnover on downs with 4 minutes left exactly. We talk about 2-minute drills. We talk about 1-minute drills. Here's a 4-minute drill from the 20-yard line, 4 minutes, 80 yards, 6 points. There's your equation.
Taheem Jackson threw a pass last week against Brick Township, threw an interception there. His second pass, as you mentioned, Dan. And Phillips Frazier went out for the pass. Unfortunately, was just a little short. And now J.P. Stevens with a fantastic opportunity in this air raid attack to get stuff going.
Matt Kawaja pass to the right side. It is complete, and J.P. Stevens awfully conservative that time as the pass is out on the right side. Zamar Rayford with the play, and now time called. They're asking about the game clock.
Rayford all over Manchester Township today. Plenty of catches, a big-time touchdown. Touchdown, I believe, went 60-plus on the drag route at the midway point in the third quarter today. It's just what you love to see. This is J.P. Stevens football all around Rayford.
2nd and 5. Pass is caught. Back to Rayford. And he is down for a first down at the 37. The issue is that there was too much time taken off the clock. Referees had to stop the play. It was about 11 seconds that were taken off. Clock is now running again, and we're back to 3:42. So it's 1st and 10. J.P. Stevens doesn't need all of this efficiency, but if they just do a little bit at a time, they should be okay.
They may have to triple team Zamar Rayford at this point.
Oh, hold on here. He is wrapped up and taken down. Cameron Askew comes in with the tackle that time, rather. Desmond Askew. Definitely not leaving anything to the imagination that time. It's a loss of 3. They are back, lined up. Where's the ball spotted here? It looks like it's going to be at the 34, 33. Line to gain for the first down is at the 47-yard line. Who knew Wednesday night football could be so entertaining? That fumble, and now they're going to recover, but that's a sack and a flag.
So Curtis Mayer, looks like his 3rd sack of the game.
But we have a flag. It came in from the backside. Could be looking at a face mask potentially. That's just from what we could see here up in the press box.
And they were the ball forward.
It is a defensive face mask. So that is going to be a big break for J.P. Stevens. It's a defensive face mask against Manchester Township. And now it's going to bring it to 2nd and 8. Again, right now you've got 2.5 minutes left in the ball game. You still have to traverse over half of the field to get these 6 points in the end zone. It's not going to be easy, but it's certainly not impossible for J.P. Stevens. Pump fakes, pass is caught. They're still staying in the middle of the field. J.P. Stevens has a few timeouts remaining. They still have all 3 timeouts remaining.
Interesting concept
Quick respot here.
From Awaja, throwing it to McIntosh very shortly. Ryan Hetzel, first one to be there for Manchester Township. A lot of effort tonight out of Ryan Hetzel. He's been the lead blocker, the fullback on a lot of Malik Farms and Cameron Longsworth's big runs, and now gets a clutch tackle. Brings it to 3rd down.
Right now, time is of the essence. They didn't get really anything on that play, and it took away 40 of their oh-so-precious seconds on the clock. Pass was almost tipped. He's going to get himself out of bounds. It's going to be short of a 1st down, but it's better than nothing as the pass is caught by Zamar Rayford. Rayford had the 60-yard receiving touchdown in the 3rd quarter, the 2nd of JPS's 2 scores tonight.
So
they'll mark him down at the 43.
They double-teamed Rayford there with both Otten and Longsworth. So if that's the winning formula for Coach Tommy Farrell, who was once a defensive coordinator at Shore Regional High School, calling the defense today along with Gerard O'Donnell.
Here we go. 4th and mid-range. Incomplete! And that might do it. Under 2 minutes to play, and Manchester Township with a pass broken up. McIntosh, the intended receiver. 1st and 10, Manchester, opposite side of the field. JPS has all 3 timeouts. They can call them, but a 1st down puts this game on ice in a game that quite literally almost feels like it's been on ice with sub 50 degree temperatures tonight here in Edison. And a very frustrated J.P. Stevens team, a team that has had hardship before. Last year, they snapped a 42-game losing streak. That was such a high bar for them to, such a high accomplishment for them to clear just as a program, because when you're a coach, you want to instill a winning culture, but there needs to be a baseline. Manchester Township has that winning culture, and J.P. Stevens looked like they were going in the right direction. They had a lot of bursts of momentum tonight, and it's broken up in what could be the final play call on J.P. Stevens' offensive side. The winner is 1-9. The loser is 0-10. False start, delay of game on Manchester. One of the coaches wanted a false start, but they got the same consequence, which is a 5-yard penalty. 1st and 15. That actually helps JPS here, because assume you run it 3 times in a row, you use all 3 timeouts. That still opens the door. It's not a door that is going to be easy to access, but now that it's 1st and 15, you now open the door. Hold on here.
Mental mistakes, teams alive. Now
we'll have a
penalty on.
I think there was a penalty. There was a penalty on JPS. It was a penalty on J.P. Stevens. So, but there is a timeout called. We'll have to figure all this out. While we're at it, though, let's riff off these sponsorships here in J.P. Stevens. This broadcast is brought to you by Rowan College of South Jersey at Gloucester County, the premier community college of New Jersey. Visit rcsj.edu for academic information and rcroadrunners.com for athletic recruitment. And by DAWG Pro Wrestling, the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators are New Jersey's premier pro wrestling organization with high-flying events and nonstop entertainment throughout the Garden State. Visit DAWGProWrestling.com for more information or for booking future events. Timeout's over. 1st and 10. So we're back to where we started here. I think there were penalties against both teams. That rush is short. And now J.P. Stevens calls a timeout. But the problem is we don't know who called that last timeout. So we now have to figure out who has what. Because if Manchester called that last timeout, that would be their last, or that would be their second, rather.
It's a lot of confusion here in Edison. Cold temperatures, more than likely the last game of the year for both programs. But that's what you love about high school football.
Exactly.
All the confusion, all the chaos, all the surrounding factors. It just makes the game a lot better, a lot of the better storylines, if you will.
Exactly. And one of these teams, they want their first win, and they want it badly. And, you know, again, a relatively small crowd hanging out tonight in Edison. It's a Wednesday night. It's cold. It was raining at halftime. Both teams with 0 wins on the year, both 0-9. One team was definitely, kind of suffered through a lot more to get to this point. As that rush on the left side yielded no yards, and it's 2nd and 10. Another handoff. Oh, it looks like he fell down, and the ball comes out. Manchester looks like they're going to fall on it, though. They got to separate everything going on here. Okay, so JPS does call that timeout.
Another big break for Manchester. Ooh. Manchester Township has got very, very lucky today.
That was so close.
On the Longworth's fumble on the possession earlier, when it was called down by contact, that also could have been something that could have went for J.P. Stevens' way and head coach David Guntz. It's just it's wild what we're seeing here in Edison this late.
Just what? Wow! I mean, you could feel your heart rate jump for a second there. As soon as you saw the ball pop out, it looked like that maybe J.P. Stevens would find a way. But instead,
the second half has been unbelievable.
This has been a incredibly contentious second half.
Only 1 touchdown scored, but with all the big hits, the confusion, the disassociation for that matter, it's just been so interesting to watch. So interesting to be a part of this. And that's what you love about it.
Yeah, I mean, after Manchester scored 18 in the first half, if you told me at the end of the night that they wouldn't score any in the second half, I would have been very surprised. But we've got 3rd and long. Handoff over to the middle. We'll get an answer about that JPS timeout. That is called. So to answer what we had earlier, Manchester did call the timeout before the drive began, after the penalties were against both teams. So J.P. Stevens used all 3 of their timeouts. They now have none remaining.
This is just chaos. Chaos, chaos, chaos. And you love to see it. Now JPS has an opportunity. We already saw a punt that Dom Hunt kicked into a lineman.
Right into his back.
Right into his back. So we'll see what goes on here. Will the punt unit come out for Manchester Township? Will they go for it on 4th down?
No reason to go for it.
We've seen crazier things happen. Tommy Farrell has used a lot of trickeration today.
Yeah, no, I don't blame him for doing that personally. I mean, you think about the fact that this is the last game of the season for both teams. It's not going to be a game that's going to be pretty for either program. This is just somebody's going to win this game. And the way that I see it is that, well, if you're Manchester Township and you want to win this game, now that you know that path, there's a clear path forward, that's what they're going to do. They're going to punt. Because I don't see any other reason. JPS now doesn't have any timeouts. 1:17. You can now trap them with a punt and really make this a rough situation while still giving J.P. Stevens the ball. That's a high snap. It's punted straight up. Not a great bounce, but it will go right back to the Hawks for J.P. Stevens. A rush to the left side for Zamar Rayford. He's got some room. He's at midfield. He's on his feet, and he's down at the 45. Best case scenario and a late flag on the JPS sideline.
We may see something of unsportsmanlike nature here from
Yeah,
JPS.
Well, the referee also threw the cap, which is the indication of a second flag. So there could be offsetting penalties. We'll see. Referee signals unsportsmanlike against JPS. And look at where this 1st down marker is. It's all the way back at the 33. So all of that hysteria
for nothing.
From a great return, more or less it's still a 15-yard return. No. Now they're moving it. It's going to be up to the 41. So it's still a 20-yard return now, but it could have been a 40-yard or 35-yard return if that penalty was not called. So it's a 15-yard penalty against J.P. Stevens for an unsportsmanlike conduct call. Again, that call came from the near sideline. And now J.P. Stevens, 1:03, and they've got 59 yards to go to play hero here on this Wednesday night. Mack double clutches twice. Now on the 3rd attempt, over the middle, in coverage, and it's incomplete, and the flag comes down. but it's going to be for an illegal man downfield.
So what I got out of there of Matt Kawaja was, in his mindset, it's screw it. Rayford's down there somewhere.
Exactly.
Double palm, it was phenomenal. A phenomenal return there from Zamar Rayford. And he's only a sophomore, and how much contribution he's had on this J.P. Stevens team. We are watching a future superstar in play, if not a superstar right now.
He is going to be somebody that will be very uplifting for this J.P. Stevens team, and watching Matt Kawaja and Zamar Rayford work together next year will be fantastic to watch. After the incompletion and the illegal man downfield penalty, 1st and 15 from the 36-yard line. Under a minute to play, 55 seconds. He's in trouble. Dumped over the middle and incomplete. Rayford was the intended receiver for a second time. The good thing is about the illegal man downfield is that they did not have a loss of downs. That is a good thing for J.P. Stevens, because if you had a loss of downs, you'd now be down basically for grasping at straws. You'd be at 3rd and long. This time, though, you're at 2nd and 15. It's almost like you just had a false start. You know, obviously the incompletion really made that penalty more of a moot point, but it's now 2nd and 15. Time is not on your side. You have 50 seconds.
Going back to that last play, that was phenomenal coverage there from a middle linebacker and Ryan Hetzel on the superstar wide receiver, Zamar Rayford.
Empty backfield. That pass was tipped by a skew on the defensive line. They're talking about the clock. See if the referees choose to make a change.
The J.P. Stevens faithful not too pleased with the clock management here.
I don't know. I mean, again, it was back-to-back incompletions. It was at 37 seconds. They added 11 back on the board. It's back to 48 seconds. 3rd and 15. Almost was a big break for Manchester. I mean, it was a big break having the D-line tip that pass. They send Rayford in motion. They pitch it back to him. He will now rush forward. He will get ahead of the line. Oh, that's going to be close. Maybe a yard short, but the clock is stopped. It looks like he's going to get out of bounds. Let's see here. Now they're going to ask for the clock to run. Tommy Farrell not happy on the sideline with the delayed run.
All chaos here in Edison. I love it.
4th and 2. Comes down to this right on top of midfield. They're going to roll it behind. He's got to find a way forward. He is short. And Manchester Township looks like they're going to come away with this one. Now they're going to stop the clock. They're asking for the clock to be stopped again. Everybody is yelling up here. There was a man down for J.P. Stevens. Again, we're just reflecting what the scoreboard says here, but again, there was a man down for J.P. Stevens. There's 2 players down, actually. The main thing is that it's a turnover on downs, and Manchester Township is going to win this game 18-12 as a last effort by J.P. Stevens, marred by chaos left and right, will end this game as a whimper here in Edison as Manchester Township takes the trip up to McGowan Memorial Stadium, 38 miles away. An hour and 5 minutes Manchester Township took the trip to get up to J.P. Stevens up here in Edison in Middlesex County. Both teams could probably be considered decidedly Central Jersey, but Manchester driving again over an hour to get here. It was a trip that now appears well worth it for Tommy Farrell, the 4th-year head coach. And they reset the clock to 12 seconds.
That's win number 20 on Tommy Farrell's career as a head coach for Manchester Township. So congratulations to Coach Farrell and company.
Well, the thing is that if you think about it, Tommy Farrell's winning his 20th game. It's a nice personal milestone, but I'm sure he feels a lot more comforting. He feels a lot more at home that he will have at least one win to hang high on for Manchester Township at the end of 2025.
Just a lot of credit to Zamar Rayford today.
Yeah, even in a losing effort for J.P. Stevens, Zamar Rayford will be our man to watch out for. If we ever cover J.P. Stevens again, whether it's a home game, whether we find them again on the road, whether we cross paths at another time for a South Jersey broadcasting company to be here an hour and a half away, if we ever cross paths with them again, that's going to be fun. But this will be even more fun for Tommy Farrell and Manchester Township. Victory formation, they take a knee, and Manchester Township, for the first time since October of 2024, will take a victory. As the clock will wind down, the clock will hit 0, and Manchester Township, despite not scoring in the second half, Manchester Township wins this game 18-12 over J.P. Stevens. J.P. Stevens with a winless year, 0-10 on the season, and on their home field on a relatively quiet and subdued Wednesday evening, it turns out to be a 6-point game in favor of Manchester. Matt, your final thoughts on this game?
Just a valiant effort from J.P. Stevens. They really pushed the momentum in that second half, but unfortunate just matters. Couldn't go their way. Zamar Rayford is a star in the making. That is one guy you have to look at for the future of J.P. Stevens football. Whether you have him anywhere, he can do it. He's the man to watch. Coach Tommy Farrell, as you mentioned, win number 20 on his career. Aiden Phillips-Frazier, his last high school game, more than likely has his first start as a quarterback and wounds up winning that. It's just unbelievable. And Malik Farms, a hat trick in touchdowns today. Just great all around. 5 rushing touchdowns and his senior campaign. Just a valiant win for Manchester Township in the Tommy Farrell regime.
Yeah, Malik Farms has to be the player of the game, right? You know, there's no way that anybody else would probably even come close in that scenario. 3 rushing touchdowns. He is quite literally responsible for all 18 points, every point that Manchester scored, because there were no 2-point conversions that were successful. So what you see is what you get. And J.P. Stevens, they had a good game. I think that they will have a little bit of a stepping stone despite this 0-10 record in 2025. I think that they'll have some bright futures coming up. However, I think right now Manchester Township can kind of pivot from this. They were 0-9. It was completely unexpected. They had 8 of their 11 starters either out with injuries or game-time decisions. It was only this week that we knew that Trevor Fryer wasn't going to play. He had a shoulder injury on his throwing arm. That was not going to end well. But J.P. Stevens took advantage of Manchester's defense. Obviously, David Kunis being a defensive-minded coach himself at Monmouth, that's going to help. And the fact that they held to Manchester to no points in the second half shows a testament to how much they worked on it at the halftime break. How much pep was in J.P. Stevens' step in the second half really showed, because Manchester didn't score in the second half. They scored all 18 points by the time the halftime whistle blew, and by the time we were done, only 6 points had been added to the score on a third quarter 60-yard touchdown by Zamar Rayford.
Despite 0-10, their record doesn't define how they played tonight.
Absolutely not.
They played tremendously, and that's a way for the coach for J.P. Stevens, that being David Kunst, really just to have himself to hold something high on for the rest of the year. A valiant win for Manchester Township, an unfortunate loss for J.P. Stevens, but with J.P. Stevens, the future's bright here in Edison.
That'll be all for us tonight on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. Thank you to the J.P. Stevens and Manchester Township communities for having us out tonight. Again, a little bit of an unusual landing spot for DWB, being so far away from home here in Middlesex County. From our entire crew, our social media coordinator, Haley Mejia, our graphics crew, Gavin Van Rel, Caleb Lane, and Carson Rosso, my producer, Vincent Vogt, my color commentator, Matt Goldman. I'm Dan Wilkins. We'll see you tomorrow night in Gloucester County between Eastern and Kingsway in the first round of South Jersey Group 4 playoffs. Manchester Township wins their first game of the year, 18-12, to close out the 2025 season. Have a good one, folks.